Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the LeBauer Show. Today, I've got a little rant. I don't know if it's a rant. I got to turn this in. I'm turning it into a lesson, but, we're going to talk about the status quo and accepting mediocrity today and what to do instead and how to live a life by design to get what you want. Hey, my name's Dr. LeBauer. I'm a physical therapist. I'm a cash-based physical therapy practice owner. I'm a business coach for physical therapists and help physical therapists make 6 and 7 figures without relying on insurance companies. I'm a father and a Sagittarius, and I like riding bikes and kettlebells. And lately, I've just been I don't know what you call it, a content creator, as a educator, as someone putting myself out in front of others to get what I want, to help them get what they want. I get a lot of hate, negative comments, haters, etc. And sometimes those messages are kind of hard to deal with. But sometimes the way I deal with them is let my team answer the messages. Sometimes what I do is I screenshot things and I put it up on Instagram and be like, see, this person doesn't get it. I mean, we've talked about that before. Sometimes it's the immediate thing is to go and talk about why you should stop thinking this way. But if I start doing too much of that, I just attract more of the people, and it's through the energy and through the messages. So that's kind of like, as I started writing my notes, I was like, okay, I can't come into this show and be like, hey, let me talk about all the problems. I'm going to address some of the problems, but what I also want to do is address some of the positive things that you might resonate with and understand. And part of this is to me to show up and say, hey, here's my story. Here's where I was. This is what I expect out of people. And I'm still, I'm 15 years into PT, and PTs are still unimpressing me. Is that the right word? They're still not meeting my expectations. I have really high expectations of myself, but I had higher expectations of our profession. And I'm still let down pretty much every day by physical therapists, but by a lot of people in the world. However, my niche is physical therapy and even OTs. And I'm going to say a little sidebar, even OTs. Look, I've put about 20% of people who come through my programs have been OTs. Some of my most successful clients, Katua Pancic, Joe, Mike, Julie Lee. Who else is OT? There's a lot of OTs that have come through my programs. I didn't even know they were OTs. And I put that on a Facebook ad once. I said, it's a Cash PT checklist. And I said, and even OTs can use it. And because so many people have said over the years, Aaron, well, can you help OTs, occupational therapists? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then so I put it in a video. I'm like, even OT, and maybe I'm sure it's the way it came out, and people still got mad. But that's the thing. What are you getting mad about? Are you getting mad about the right things or the wrong things? Are you, thinking that you're play second fiddle to physical therapists, like OTs, and while physical therapists think they play second fiddle to chiropractors, and chiropractors think they play second fiddle to medical doctors, and I don't know what kind of complex osteopaths have, but seriously, I get hit with this stuff all the time. So let me just start by saying, stop accepting mediocrity. That was the original title of this podcast. It might be still. But you have to stop accepting mediocrity in your life if you want to be great. You really have to understand that if you want to win, you got to be around winners. And in order to win, you've got to have a winner's mindset. And in order to win, you need to learn from winners, and you need to be around winners. You only need to learn the winning game. And the game most people are playing isn't the winning game. Most people are playing to lose. And playing to lose is a terrible game to play. It's like, that's like saying, oh, I need to quit. I need to save $1,000. Oh, so let me figure out how to save $1,000. And it's to quit this thing. Okay, great. You quit that thing. You save $1,000. All right. You're not $1,000 richer. That $1,000 is going to end up somewhere else. It's much easier to make $1,000 than it is to save $1,000. I mean, if you can look through your expenses each month, how many Netflix subscriptions can you cancel to save $1,000? That's a lot. I mean, I just was looking at my Netflix and it was like, $22 for ultra high definition TV streaming and $17 for normal high definition streaming. I was like, I don't have a new high def TV. I was like, why do I need to pay this extra $4? I mean, the only difference was I can download titles to 6 devices, not just 2. I was like, no one in my house downloads the movies. And I was in there to, change the password and update a couple things. And I was like, okay, so I save $5 a month. That's not going to change my life. I mean, hey, I do that 100 times. I can save $500. I don't have 100 different subscriptions. So that's just an example. It's much easier to help one more person change their life than it is to, make micro changes in your life. Unless we're talking top level sport, cycling, basketball, football, cricket, I don't know, whatever sport you play. At that level, small percent changes can be really big. Here's the quote that I learned this from my business coach, Taki Moore. He was teaching as a training so that we can design what our year looks like. I do this same training for my own clients in our Platinum Mastermind and Cash PT Academy. And the quote is, when you live a life by default, you get what you got. When you live a life by design, you get what you want. Does that make sense? When you live a life by default, you get what you got. I mean, I'm just going to get what I got because I'm not trying to change anything. I'm not trying to do anything different. I might say I'm doing better, but I'm just living by default, walking through life like a zombie, doing what's expected of me. But when you live a life by design, you get what you want. In order to live a life by design, a lot of times you have to do what other people don't want you to do. A lot of times you have to do things that other people are going to try to shoot you down for, are going to tell you aren't right, are unethical, are wrong. Your dreams are too big. And part of that strategy is to say, okay, here's my non-negotiables, here's my vacations that I want to take, here's my weekends off, here's my training sessions, here's my important pieces for work, and then we fill in the other pieces and whatnot. But the question I have is, when are physical therapists? When is our profession? When are, occupational therapists? When are you going to stop accepting mediocrity and the status quo, right? When I got to PT school, I expected something different and something better. I was doing massage therapy before, and I went to 10-month school, and I remember, I graduated from Duke University, and people were like, well, why'd you go to Duke? And now you're going to go get a certificate, like a trade certificate, and be a massage therapist. That's not a real job. Whatever. I knew it was a path for me to get what I wanted. Okay, I could go to massage school 5 days a week for 4 hours. And then I could eat lunch and go train on my bike for 4 hours. I didn't have to study. It was hands-on stuff. And there's some stuff I had to memorize, like bones, attachments, insertions, origins, all that stuff. But I knew it was going to get me what I wanted, which was the ability to race bicycles. And I knew that I could train when I was in school. And I knew that when I got out of school, I could work for 4 hours a day, work for myself and make $75, $85 an hour, work for someone else, make $20, $25 an hour plus a tip. A tip on a $80 to $100 service is about $15 to $20. That's pretty good for 25 years ago. Unfortunately, massage therapists are making about the same now in 2024 that they did in 1999 when I went to massage school. And it's still better than what most physical therapists are making, which is crazy, right? You spend a couple $100,000 on your degree and you're making $38 to $40 an hour. Okay. I mean, I totally get that. That's better than manager at Chick-fil-A, but not much. Why are we making so little? Well, advanced degrees don't qualify us for higher income because insurance is driving the payment model. Insurance don't care about you, me, or anyone else. Okay, so I pulled this out. There was an email I wrote about, I want to say 2 years ago. Let me see when this was. This is September 24th, 2021. I'm not going to read. I wrote it. It was a really long. It was a really long email. And it was back when I did patients and profits on demand. I'm looking at it. It's like back when I was promoting patients and profits on demand the first time. I probably need to resend this because it really resonated, but it resonated with one of my clients and she wrote me back, but I sent it out in 2021. I was promoting patients and profits, which is a 5-week boot camp that I did. And this is one where, if you've heard me talk about Owen Johnson, Owen and Jen, they've been on the podcast a couple of times. Owen did some coaching with us for a while as well, as he's got a multi-therapist cash practice out in San Diego doing at least 65K months. That's the last time I checked in with him, about 4 or 5 months ago. And Owen started with this program, and he leveraged it in the strategies to do $7,400 in his first month in business as a physical therapist, cash practice owner. But Laura Johnson was in my mastermind back in 2017 or 2018. I've been doing this for a little while. And she wrote me and she said, Aaron, I'm going to read what she said because it's brief, but here's the thing. She said, Aaron, I'm just glad I click on an email here and there. You made a big impact on me. And while I may build and grow more slowly, I have sustainability power and I still resonate with what you say. So this is 2021. I think she started in the Cash PT Blueprint and then went in the mastermind. She was one of the first people when I went and looked back in. I was like, she did the checklist, the toolkit, the blueprint. She did my Inner Circle program, which is now no longer. And then she went from that. That was a monthly membership. And then she went into our mastermind. And she says, this got me today, what you wrote. And this is what she says, I came in the physical therapy profession expecting to take a leap forward. Instead, I landed in a profession that was afraid of talking about money, afraid of asking for what was right, afraid of fighting back against docs in quotes, and insurance companies because they might not agree with us about the patient's diagnosis or treatment plan and stop paying or referring. I think we can both agree that the established way of building a PT business and marketing to docs and taking insurance doesn't work and is fucked up. End quote. So I got the whole email. I'm not going to read it, but she said, yes, keep going, keep saying these things. I'm so happy. I'm charging what I'm worth and doing what I'm best at, even and especially if it's different. She said different PT. And I'm helping so many people and I love my job and I'm attracting my perfect patients and I adore each and every one of them. And they pay me for the amazing transformation. And I hope that I am giving them that. I'm so happy to be outside of the fucked up healthcare world. I never wanted to be, quote, normal anyways. I want to get results and help a shit ton of people and do it authentically. It took me a while to learn what to say and what I'm worth and how to do it all, but I'm so glad I did. And thank you again for the pieces and ahas and tangibles you gave me. 2 or 3 years later, I finally nailed the sales calls. Referrals are coming in with no effort. People buy packages without flinching, but I don't need them to. I'm super confident about who I can help and I'm stopping teaching a gym class, among other things, because it's too stressful and not worth my energy. This is the kind of PT I always wanted to be. I love my job. I love my patients. I love my schedule. I get to do other things like have a life. Thank you and keep going, Laura. It was really awesome. I don't know. It took me 3 years. It's almost 3 years exactly to really process that and share that. And share it. I mean, I've not shared this with anyone. I just printed it out and put it on my board when I walk in the door. So thank you, Laura, if you're listening. It took Laura a little while to get there. And here's the thing, comparison's the thief of joy. So when you come into one of my programs, it's funny. Like I've had people go, oh, I'm not doing as good as everyone else. I need to quit. And other people go, I'm doing better than everyone else. I need to quit. And I'm like, do you guys understand, like both ends of the spectrum, you're getting it wrong. You might feel like a superstar and, you're letting your ego get to you and you're like, I'm not around winners. Okay. And then at the bottom, you're like, I'm not as good as everyone else. I'm around too many people that win. I'm not a winner. It's like, you both are. You're both in the right place. You're just letting that need to be right all the time drive your decisions. Okay. Yes, you need to hang out with people that are doing what you do and are winners. And you know what? If you've got a winning formula, whether it's in treating patients or in something you did in your business, I mean, it's your duty and obligation to share it with others. I'm not saying everyone needs to, go out and start a coaching business, because I've seen people try to do that and destroy their, primary business in the process. What I'm saying is you need to share your wins and lessons. And even if that's just in a message or a comment or a message of encouragement to someone, I don't know, a testimonial, whatever it is, you need to share it. Just like if you believe that physical therapy is what people need, you need to share that too. And you need to not be afraid to share it. And a little bit on the other hand, sometimes when you use the word physical therapy, people will get something else. But let me just finish this piece. There's always an excuse for why you can or can't, or why you should or shouldn't. Don't let the excuses get in your way. If you know what you want, then you know what you have to do. And when you know what you want, and when you have a path in front of you, there's no excuses. You just know exactly what you need to do to get there. It will be hard. The path is not easy, but if you're willing to go down a path that most people won't go down, then you're going to find something that most people won't get. If you want to be a business owner and you want to be successful, you have to learn to eat a lot of shit. You got to eat shit. Some days that's all you're doing is coming into work and eating shit. And, I used to say this, and then I heard another coach, Bedros, he did a podcast on this about a month or two ago, and I was like, yes, fucking A. Thank you, Bedros, for talking about it. It's like, to be successful means you have to do a lot of things. You have to tolerate a lot of things that other people will not. You're still not supposed to tolerate like everything. You get the mediocrity out. Surround yourself with winners, and then you're just gonna have to tolerate a lot of hard work. You're gonna have to tolerate a lot of frustrations. A lot of times you're gonna come into work and be like, this isn't the problem I came to work to solve today. And you're just gonna have to solve that problem. This isn't the thing I wanted to work on today. I wanted to work on something else. And if you understand that, and you're able to do it, with a smile on your face without burdening others, but by turning it into a positive and solving the problems and understanding that we're not working hard for the weekend. It's not like, hey, I'm going to work hard and it's hump day and now I'm over the hump and now I'm living for the weekend. No, man. I work on the weekends because I love what I do. And if you love the process, no matter how hard it is some days, if you love the process and you love solving problems and you're good at it, then just fall in love with the process, because no one else loves the process. They just love the reward, and they're not willing to do the work to get the reward. And that's why so few people have it. So here are a couple things that physical therapists need to stop tolerating, or stop making excuses for. And this one is like beating a dead horse right here. The whole direct access thing. I don't have direct access, so I can't start a business. I can't do it cash. I can't do whatever. Who cares? There's a simple solution. It's been on my blog for over 10 years. It's called the administrative referral. Direct access is not a limiter. I can't do X. Anytime you find something, I'm just going to use it as I can't, but people won't. Okay, those are just excuses. Like people won't pay. My town is too small. My town is too big. My business is not like yours. My business is unique. I can't. What you're doing is you're taking something that has been a limiter in the past or limited for other people and using it as an excuse for why you can't, to protect you from failure. And that's totally fine and normal. And you have to catch yourself saying this, especially if you want to be successful. And there's plenty of times where I get called out on things like this too. I'm like, no, I can't do that. And someone in my life or team is like, but yeah, you can. Okay, great. Surround yourself with people that believe in you and feed you, and stop making excuses. The other thing we can no longer tolerate, and this is the big one, and and we've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's this whole insurance contracts. Yes, I'm talking to you, in-network business owner. Yes, I'm talking to you, APTA, private practice section supporter. Yes, I'm talking to you, APTA, private practice section. Yes, I'm talking to you, physical therapists. We can't accept payments that do not keep the lights on. You cannot. I don't care if the lights are barely staying on and you've got 20% of your patients come in and like average payment is $100, but if you've got 1% or 50% of the people coming in and United Healthcare is paying $38 no matter how long you treat them and you're seeing them for a half hour and that doesn't keep the lights on, if the cost to do business is more than what you're collecting, you're losing and you're dying a slow death, if not a quick death. And one day next year or 10 years or in 2 days, they're going to decide to cut payments again. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do to keep the lights on? You can't. You can't keep accepting it. And you can go big and high volume, great. But guess what? When you have 700 visits a week and we start adding in cash visits, you take one insurance company. This is what we did with Alan Ling and at PT Innovations in El Cerrito. Drop some insurance contracts. It's much easier to justify in the Bay Area and San Francisco because real estate's so high. I mean, New York, DC. I mean, Jerry Durham and Sturdy McKee also went out of network a long time ago. They're on my old podcast, long time ago, because they couldn't afford. Otherwise they weren't going to be able to afford the rent in San Francisco. And I don't know if that practice is still around. But what Alan did is we started offering $100 30-minute visits, and Alan's doing $30K a month in cash. And you know what? He doesn't have to wait 30, 60, 90 days for it to pay. It pays now. And at volume, that's one of the big things that's made a massive difference to him this year. Just imagine $30,000 a month in cash. He's got a new PT, new grad, doing 18 cash visits a day. That's, like 9 hours a day treating patients. Cool. I mean, is he working the guy like a slave? No, because I've worked there and I know that he's the therapist is, choosing to work that much because Alan doesn't make you work that much, He's like, you got to work here 12 hours a day. Not like when I saw 43 patients a day and I was there for a 10-hour day. But Alan's like, yeah, he's been doing 18 cash visits a day by himself. Or maybe it was 16 and maybe that's more reasonable. But I know it's great. And Alan messaged me the other day what his update was, and easily done $300,000 this year in 2024 in cash, and they've got 5 or 6 therapists. So just imagine, whether you're a small practice, like a lot of my clients, MK, Mike Christie, and we add some cash, and it takes time away. It gives you time, it gives you peace of mind and less stress doing other shit. Or we take a higher volume practice and add. I mean, that's still only 15% of Alan's patients is cash, 15, 20%. But we'll be dropping more. And he's got, 5 people, 5 admin staff, and 7 or 8 therapists there. So it takes some time to work it in, but just a little small change in a higher volume practice makes a massive difference. And guess what? He's not losing money on those clients, on those patients, like he was when they were in network and unable to really accept they can accept the insurance, but it didn't pay, and they had to use the other contracts to offset it. So we can't keep accepting payments that don't keep the lights on. And if you don't know, then you need to go find out. And then, look, if you need some help figuring out how to get patients to say yes to cash when they've been paying you insurance, how to get people to pay cash when they have a option to go down the street, then maybe there's something I can do to help you out. I've done this with lots of people. This was the very first thing that I did. Most of my one-on-one consulting back in 2012, 2013 was with in-network business owners transitioning to cash. And then in the last year and a half, 2 years, the percentage of in-network business owners transitioning to cash is much higher. I mean, also Aaron and Aaron and his partner Mike are clients of mine now in our mastermind, and we're adding cash. And they just did it. They did a very first package they sold was $800. He's like, "That's the most cash we've ever brought in 12 years for one person." And then they just did a 6-month or 8-month ACL program for like $8,000. I mean, it's dope. It's really awesome. We have to stop having low expectations of our patients. And this is for everyone. Okay. This shows up in two ways. I'm in network and insurance is only going to pay for 12 visits. So we're only going to do 12 visits. This shows up in cash-based practice where we were so used to insurance only paying for 12 visits. We're only going to give people the minimum we think can get them better because we're afraid of asking them for more money. So we have to stop treating patients based on what their insurance will cover, and instead of for what we actually think is best for them. So if you are evaluating a patient and you're like, well, you know what? Their insurance will only cover 6 visits, so we're only going to do 6 visits. You think that's ethical? You really think that that's what's best for the patient? I don't think that's ethical. I think that's unethical. Is it malpractice? No, I think surgeons, orthopedic surgeons doing an injection for bursitis and saying, let's see if this works, I think that's malpractice. I think them sending patient to get an MRI and then letting the patient see the results without consulting them first, and the patient's freaking out because they go Google all the results, I think that's malpractice. I think it's malpractice the way that even Cone Hospital here in Greensboro releases your the results for your X-rays, oncology reports, et cetera, before you're consulted with a healthcare provider. I think that's malpractice. Okay, let's get back. You know what? These patients that you are not treating, you're not offering the best possible service, like the actual real plan of care, because you're afraid that they're going to have to pay because you wouldn't pay yourself. They end up going to massage therapy. They end up going to stretch zone, yoga, Pilates, etc. Look, when I was a massage therapist, people came to me and said, Aaron, I've been to PT, OT, Pilates, acupuncture. I've been to the chiropractor. I've been to see the surgeon. I've had the surgery. I've tried all the things. You're the first person to touch me where I hurt. I wasn't touching them in places that were crazy. Trapezius, hamstring, VMO, infraspinatus. Okay, quadratus lumborum. That one's tough because the textbook I had in PT school, I remember this, Helen Hislop and was it Sue Montgomery? And if you know, you know. She says in there, the quadratus lumborum is not a muscle that you can palpate. And I'm just like, raise my hand. I'm like, but I can palpate it. I don't know what her definition was or if it was a mistyping, but it was like, you can't palpate this muscle. I'm like, well, I know if I put my thumb here and my elbow here and you hike your hip or resist your hip, like I can feel that muscle. I was like, why does it say I can't palpate it? Because they probably didn't touch very many people. People are getting let down by you, or maybe not you, your colleagues, our colleagues, because you're making a plan of care for them that doesn't actually care for the patient. You're making a plan of care that fits within the parameters of Susie in Iowa. Susie in Iowa is not a healthcare provider. Do not let her decide what's best for your patients. What you do is you say, hey, Mrs. Jones, you've got this issue. I think we need to see you 12 visits over the next 14 weeks. Your insurance is going to cover 8 of them. So the good news is you just have a 50% discount. So the plan of care would typically be $2,000, but what it's only going to, or like $3,000, and it's just going to cost you, the insurance is going to pay for the first $2,000. And they go, sweet. Or they go, oh, well, I'm going to go get it for free down the street, and they go get 8 visits 3 times a week, and they still are in pain. So you get to choose that, but as a healthcare provider, you need to act independently of what the referring provider and the paying entity thinks because they're not in the room with you. Okay. And we need to stop accepting mediocrity in ourselves. Okay. How does that show up? Not really understanding, like the real meaning of life, not the meaning of life, the meaning of being in business, being, and, having a job, and look, when I was in my 20s, it was really difficult too. So I'd look at my friends and be like, God, they're working for Arthur Andersen banking. They're making 6 figures. I don't know what that really means. My friend Sam is getting a $20,000 Christmas bonus, but he hates his job so much he's going to quit in October. And I'm making $1,300 every 2 weeks as a bike messenger. And I was just like, I had no idea what it was really like or really meant or what I needed to do to make $100,000 a year. I just knew I was never living in San Francisco going to be able to afford a $3,500 a month mortgage to be able to buy a home there. So I think the idea is you go to PT school and you don't expect to make 6 figures when you get out, or not even having a concept as a business owner of what it means to make 7. And the problem is insurance. So many people are tied to insurance, and even in a cash practice, I'm not tied to insurance, but I can only charge so much because of the public's expectation. Like I can charge a lot and we can charge more, but the public's expectation of what our service costs is low because so many practices are in network or cash practices are undercharging that it's really hard to pay a PT $120,000 salary getting out of PT school as a doctor of physical therapy. It's almost impossible in an insurance situation. Not impossible, but really difficult, especially in orthopedics, outpatient orthopedics, and really hard in a cash practice because that person has to be willing to sell high-priced programs, and they've been devalued. They have to be good at the sales. They have to be, decent at treatment, and they have to be good at connecting with people, and we have to get them busy. It's not, like I said, it's not impossible, but it's just difficult. And so people don't expect to do that. And then when you don't expect it, it doesn't happen. And if you do expect it and you want it right now, the best way to get that is to go start your own thing. And that's not for everyone. But here's a couple things that people do that really sabotage us. Well, one, it's accepting these low-paying insurance contracts, but then it's, as a PT, charging, let's say, $25 per muscle for dry needling. Like, okay, now you're giving away your power as the decision maker, and you're giving all the decision making power to the person sitting in front of you who's not taken, an anatomy class or human anatomy or done biomechanics or even gone to the needling seminar. Undercharging. You start a cash practice, you're like, hey, I'm going to charge $75 a session. I'm just doing Pilates. I'm training. I'm not doing PT. Or maybe I am doing PT, but it's still, you're still not charging more than a personal trainer or a massage therapist. And yet you're limited in your scope of practice more than a personal trainer, other than touching people. Like in North Carolina, we can't, recommend, like nutrition, supplements, dietary guidelines, etc. I can give guidelines in the public domain, but I can't create a plan for people, whereas personal trainers can do whatever they want. Personal trainers can help you across state lines with your back pain by showing you how to work on a roller. And as a PT, I start doing that. It looks more like PT, and I'm not licensed in the other state, etc. And we're charging much less than these guys. You know what? The reason they can charge what they charge and we can't is because we're not creating plans of care for our patients that really, truly help them. We're only limiting it to what we think people will pay. They're not better when they're done. They're not as good as they expect when they're done. And they like, well, I'm going to go to yoga class. Yoga class will fix my back. Pilates will fix my back. Personal trainer. Why would I pay, $150 to see Dr. Chris when I can see my personal trainer for $75, but I'd rather see Dr. Caitlin for $250 because she does physical therapy for me. I've had people like that. I have a new client I just spoke with yesterday, and she does Pilates and PT, and she's saying, she'll tell people that she does physical therapy and Pilates and et cetera. And people are like, ooh, Pilates. She said people light up when she says Pilates. I was like, well, we got to drop the physical therapy. And, we came up with a good, USP and we're just getting close to it. And I was like, yeah, drop physical therapy. Because when people hear that, what they hear is, I do hot packs, leg lifts, ultrasound, and Pilates. And they're like, ooh, Pilates, tell me more. Because as physical therapy profession, we've failed to define what we do because we do too much. And people think we're physical terrorists and we just put them on a bike and give them hot packs and walk away, because too many people do that. They still do. Okay. We also don't know what $100 is worth. Kind of talked about this before, but I recently I just did a course launch for our Cash PD Blueprint. The course is a $2,500 program, and it's easily worth $10,000 because people have come in, taken that course, and built multiple six and even seven-figure businesses. And if you can take a class and make $100,000 out of what you learn, then it's easily worth a tenth of what you can make in a year. I sell it for $2,500. Typically in the last few years, when I'll do a special, I'll do some webinars, or you message me, I get you in for $1,500. Was it last weekend? 2 weekends ago, we did. It was a 10th anniversary of this course. I think one of the last episodes we talked about it. And I blew it out for a cheap price, knowing that if I make it too cheap, it's going to bring people with a cheap mindset in. But I was willing to do that because I want to get it in the hands of as many people as possible right now because of the economy and where we're at. And it's a 10th anniversary. And I was like, well, when I first launched it, it was $197, and I did 25 people that first weekend. And so the special was 25 people at $197, then 25 people at $297, and then everyone else $497 through the end of the weekend. And I had no less than 3 people message me Sunday and even Monday saying, hey, I would have got in at $197, but now the price is higher. If you can get me in at $197, I'll definitely buy it. I'll definitely get in. And I told them all no. And they're like, oh, well, then I'm not going to do it. I mean, okay, there's a couple things here. I could make a whole podcast episode on this, but understand that, and I'm going to tell you, I want you to understand what the lesson is, to try to bring attention to this so you can see it in your clients, your patients, and even in yourself when you do this. Okay, they're going to not get the proven strategies that thousands of people have used to build a 6-figure cash practice because it's $100 more expensive. Okay, they're asking the wrong question. Here, the other thing is, someone said, "Oh, well, I logged in and when I first it was $197, and I logged in and the price changed and I didn't buy it because I have this automated email that goes to people that says, hey, you were in our cart and you didn't buy. Is everything okay?" Like, yeah, well, I logged in, the price was higher, so I didn't get it. Can I get in? I was like, you know what? Look, in business, speed wins. And here's the deal. If you sleep on a deal, you lose out. But did you really lose out getting a $2,000 course for $497? No, you got a $1,500 discount. And the other reason I do that is to encourage the right people to move forward, because in business, speed wins. And perfection is a business killer. If you're waiting for it to be perfect, or you're overanalyzing and you're overthinking, and if it takes you that long to consider, should I do it? You're not ready to start a business. Okay. What I did was encourage 25 of the right people to take action really quickly, because if they can take action quickly, then they're going to do well in business. And that's really it. And look, it was $197 for 48 hours. It was 48 hours until the 25th person purchased, Wednesday morning to Friday morning, and then the price went up. And, these people had 48 hours to make a decision, yes or no, the cheapest price. And if you can't make that decision in that 48 hours, you're either not a good decision maker and you need to work on your decision-making skills, you're not ready for business, and not really that interested in buying a business. Starting a business and enrolling in the course, you're just trying to see if you can get in for cheaper when everyone else can't, and that's not cool either. But really, it's about encouraging the right people to move forward quickly, because people who make quick decisions do really well in business, and you have to develop that muscle. And if you're around other people that can't make decisions fast, then you're around the wrong people if you want to be a successful business owner. So, and then I think the last thing is just more of a, hey, I'm a physical therapist. I expect you to take care of your body. If I don't take care of mine, that don't do what I say. Do what I say. Don't do what I do. Look, you got to go and get treatment in PT for your body. I mean, I've been this week once already. Last week, my back's been bothering me for a few weeks because I've just been overworked, overstressed, and whatever, a lot of things. And I get Dr. Chris to treat me. And I probably need to go in today again or tomorrow because we got a CrossFit competition Saturday morning. Walk the walk. And everything you expect of your patients, you should expect of yourself. And if you expect it of yourself, you should expect it of your patients. And this comes down to how you do your workouts, how you treat your body, how you think about money, how you think about purchasing. I mean, people that come in my program buy like they sell. They have a hard time buying because they have a hard time selling. They have a hard time selling because they don't buy. They don't buy in the way that they should. They're not thinking about like, can I get into this program and for $197 get one nugget, or even $497 get one nugget of information that's going to bring in one new patient who's going to come see me 10 times for $100, which is way undercharging, and I'm up $500. Like that's really all you have to do when you go and look into like a business program. Okay, it's our duty and obligation to care for our own bodies like we expect our patients and spend like we expect people to buy from us. So if you expect people to pay you $250 an hour for PT, you better be willing to go pay $250 an hour for PT to help your body, or spend $150, $200 on a massage. Work with a personal trainer, like work with Brett Jones, and pay him $300 a month. And we meet on Zoom twice a month. And I'm like, Brett, let's just meet once. And he was like, no, we should meet twice. And I'm working with him for a couple of years, and I'm stronger now than I was in my 30s and 40s. And we have to have, if we have high expectations of ourselves, we have high expectations of people around us. That's great. Just understand not everyone's going to meet the same standard of expectations that you have, but just don't tolerate people in your life that are constantly extracting energy from you without replenishing it. Action beats anxiety. Perfection is a business killer. And remember, 80% is good enough. Hey, this is Aaron LeBauer and the Aaron LeBauer Show. Thank you for listening. If you have a PT business and you want to build a personalized game plan together with me to grow your business and create a lifestyle by design that you want, just DM me the word game plan over on Instagram, or book in a time to chat and over on callwithaaron.com. I'll see you on the next show. Peace.